Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. And today we're asking, what would have happened if Russell T Davies had cast Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor? And I have a very, very defined opinion on this. Look at an orchestra. An orchestra is only as good as the composer because the orchestra are playing the tune, but they're only playing the tune. The conductor is conducting them to do so. And it's the same as a film director and a writer, right? And a movie executive. And it's the same thing as a television showrunner, right? And there's one thing at the moment, under Chris Chibnall, we've got Dr. Bland. And we've had Dr. Bland since season 11. And nothing's really changed that much. His arc has defined her a little bit better, but she still doesn't feel like any version of the Doctor. And again, that's not on her, that's on him. That's on Chris Chibnall. So what kind of Doctor would Jodie Whittaker be under Russell T Davies? I believe she would be a very vibrant, effervescent. She would have been amazing. And Russell wouldn't have been trying to kind of just shadow what David Tennant had done. I mean, Russell had two doctors and they were both very, very different. Christopher Eccleston was a very gruff, northern type of doctor, but he could be happy. He could take it down a bit, but he'd go dark as well. It was the same with David Tennant's doctor. Very different to Christopher Eccleston, but he could be like, hello, I'm the Doctor. What? Or he could go dark. No second chances. I'm that type of man. Brilliant stuff, you know. So, look, Russell T Davies is the Don, right? Without Russell T Davies, there is no Chris Chibnall. There is no Stephen Moffat. These are people who clearly have been friends for many years, talented people who love Doctor Who, that dreamt of nothing more than bringing Doctor Who back. But without Russell T Davies, that would never have happened. And I'm sorry, Russell, but you did your job too damn well. And I'm sorry again, but you should not have left Doctor Who altogether. I understand you didn't want to be full-on showrunner any longer than 5 years. 5 years is a long time for anyone. I get that. You wasn't used to it. It's hard work. I get it. But for crying out loud, Russell, you should have remained a showrunner. No, sorry. Say that again. You should have remained in a Godfather role. I've mentioned this so many times on my channel. You should have been the one who decides who runs the show, like you did with Stephen Moffat. Now, even though Stephen Moffat ran Doctor Who with a lot of self-indulgence and arrogance, I still think he did a pretty solid job. And when you look back now, you kind of wish he was still there, don't you? Admit it, right? So Russell T Davies should have remained in a Godfather role. So he conducts the orchestra. He brings the composer in and says, right, you can run Doctor Who, but if you do anything I don't like, I pull you up on it and I say, here, you better do this. That's what a Godfather role is. And that's how it would have worked. So he wouldn't have been working on the show from a day-to-day basis, but with Russell still there, it would have been amazing. And because I'm saying that Jodie Whittaker would have been a vibrant, excellent Doctor under Russell T Davies, it really does put Chris Chibnall in the spotlight in a very negative facet because he hasn't pulled off her Doctor. Or that's his idea of what a female Doctor should be, because it doesn't matter if you're a female or a male Doctor, you're still the Doctor. You're still that person. And we know every regeneration should be different. But this Doctor has barely got a heartbeat. She's so bland. So bland. I'm also very sure that the costume that Jodie's Doctor wears would never have happened under Russell T Davies. And he's a big LGBTQ supporter, of course, being a gay man himself, right? But there's depths you go to and there's depths you don't go to, right? At the end of the day, no matter what you think of the old school fans, the misogynists, the sexists, the racists, Unfortunately in life, you have to utilize everything that you've got. You need all your consumers. And when you go deeply on one side of the political spectrum, what's going to happen? You're going to trigger that side of the political spectrum. And Houston, we've got a problem because the fandom menace are this unified outfit who know how to bring a show down and a movie down. They are experts and they've done it. Now, I'm not a paid up member of the fandom menace. I did announce on here about a year ago that I was, but then I decided not. There's some things they do and say that I just can't agree with. But I must say, a lot of the things they say, even though they're the opposite side of my political argument, I do kind of think, well, you do have a point. So Russell T Davies was a very intelligent man. Russell T Davies is one of the biggest Doctor Who fans in the world. He understood the relationship, for example, that Blue Peter had with Doctor Who through the years. And it's very interesting. That might sound like a very small thing, but the small things, the devil's in the detail. And Russell understood that. But ultimately, he understood what a modern day Doctor Who should be, and it absolutely worked. So there's no doubt in my mind we wouldn't have. I mean, he admitted he was scared to introduce a female doctor, and he said when he saw the ratings initially for her doctor, he said, I don't know what I was worried about. But I don't know if he ever planned on doing a female doctor. But I don't believe for 1 minute he would ever have cast Jodie Whittaker. It's crazy casting. It's simply crazy casting. But I still feel that with his talent, he would have made her a very viable, vibrant doctor. And we wouldn't be having these discussions now or calling her Dr. Bland. But this is the problem. We have Chris Chibnall. It was self-evident in season 11 that he's got a different idea on what Doctor Who should be to most of us. And that's a problem. So if you cast a female doctor and you know you're going to have some opposition, I tell you what, you better make sure she's one of the best irritations of the Doctor ever. Now, it's sad that the female version of the Doctor has to prove herself because she's a woman, but that's the atmosphere and environment that we're in. But ultimately, she should be as good as the men, shouldn't she? Right? But this literally is the most blandest, dullest, dumbest Doctor we have ever seen. And seeing that we had Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy, that takes some beating. There's Sylvester. Great actor, great artist, by the way. Not one of my favourite Doctors, but certainly a lot of respect for the man. But this is the thing. So we are in a situation now. I mean, Doctor Who is finished. And it's very interesting reading all the reactions on Twitter. Also, the high-profile Doctor Who fans have got YouTube channels doing really well, listening to them kind of tying the party line, saying things like, ratings aren't important, they can sell figures, the deal at HBO. Look, I agree. BBC One isn't reliant on high ratings. But what the ratings discussion does, and it's not about the amount that's watching it, it's the fall since The Woman Who Fell to Earth. And we spoke about this yesterday in yesterday's Doctor Who Daily. That's the alarming trend. And if this guy, Chris Chibnall, continues to run this show the way he's running it, there can be no salvaging it. I'm surprised he's stuck with Jodie for a third season. That's interesting to me. An opportunity to at least bring the Ruth Doctor in that at least people prefer. If you want to go down that avenue, at least do it with someone that's interesting and intense and someone we want to get to know, right? Because Jodie's Doctor's die has been cast. And they've cast it. She barely spoke in the finale. They used Sacha Dhawan for the marketing of the finale. They have no faith in this person whatsoever. So forget about what we say about her and what we feel about her. Her actual boss and her showrunner and the corporation themselves have shown no faith in this woman when it came to the finale. That says something. That is huge. I expect big changes again for season 13. I don't know what. I don't know if Chibnall's going to keep his job. But when I think about it, the very idea of Russell T Davies working with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, we both know what would have happened. Him running Doctor Who was a magical time. It really was. I personally think that Doctor Who needs him. As I say, even if it's in a Godfather role, But I certainly think that we can't carry on like this. And surely the BBC understand that where we are now is the only thing you would really keep in terms of his Doctor Who is Sacha Dhawan's Master, because he's liquid gold. I mean, imagine RTD writing for him. It would be amazing, wouldn't it? So you'd keep him. You wouldn't have been him just because maybe you'll be getting a new Doctor. But even if RTD came in temporarily to steady the ship and write for Jodie's Doctor in season 13, it would work. I'm also hearing rumours that there is reshoots for the Christmas special. Now, if this is true, and take it with a big pinch of salt, by the way, don't put the salt in your mouth, yuck. But if that's true, I would imagine that Chibnall has already been booted out. Now, I don't know how true that is. I expect Chris Chibnall to run season 13. I don't expect the BBC to be brave, but they should be. They should be. And I mean, probably you'll never get Russell T Davies to actually do it, to actually come back, because he doesn't want to come back. It's clear he's done his 5 years. But I'm sorry, Russell, you don't come in and revive a show so well, then in its hour of need say, nah, not interested. I'm sorry, Russell, you can't do it. You're a Doctor Who fan. Do you really want to see this show cancelled in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time because you didn't intervene? Because Chris Chibnall's your friend and you're too scared just to say, do you know what, Chris? This isn't for you. This isn't for you, Chris Chibnall. It isn't, right? His die has been cast. But at the end of the day, if Russell T Davies came back in a temporary basis, this show can still be saved, right? Because the ratings are going to keep on going down. And that's the thing. That's the situation that we're in. And I did a very short emergency video yesterday because we saw Noel Clarke and Jodie Whittaker in a selfie together, right? Posted on Noel Clarke's social media. Very interesting. Again, shows how afraid the BBC are. Are they bringing Mickey Smith back? And to bring Mickey Smith back, I would maybe think Russell would have to be involved in that. It's all very interesting. It might just be a selfie. But look, whether you love the finale and the arc and the reveal of the Timeless Child arc like I did, and I've admitted that, we also have to know that without the Doctor being the party you want to attend, it simply doesn't work. This simply isn't the glory days of Doctor Who anymore. Whether you are saying you love Jodie and you love what you see, it isn't that way. It isn't that thing you look forward to anymore. It's not what Doctor Who used to be. Russell T Davies had a hassle-free time working on Doctor Who. Yeah, people criticised him. You know, Doctor Who's been criticised from day dot since Unearthly Child. There's always going to be rabid fans, you know, saying, yeah, no, the Doctor shouldn't be that tall, he shouldn't be that short, he shouldn't look like that, he shouldn't do that. You know, you're always going to get that. That's got to be water off the duck's back. Otherwise, what are we doing on the planet Earth and being alive? But I think the reaction, the boycotting that's going to be happening, and I mean, if I was the BBC right now, I would see a car crash. What word am I looking for? Alluding, right? There's a car crash alluding. What you want to do with a car crash, if you know your brakes are not working, only work a little bit, you take them down the garage so they can put the oil in, right? Or get the wires fixed, right? Before you have a crash and break your neck, right? This is what's happening here. They can either sit there and continue on this course, and it's not going to end well. And even if he has a great season 13, again, the die's been cast. People simply don't like him running Doctor Who. And at the end of the day, we can go on about fan entitlement. I've spoken about this before. But if the fans don't watch you, don't buy what you're selling, then you can't continue. Doctor Who makes a lot of money. This is very important to the BBC. If it was me, I would go to Russell T Davies and I would say, listen, we need you. We need you. I'd cry. I'd beg. Come back temporarily, right? Just, help us through season 13, right? Rewrite what Chris has done. Or even work with Chris. Work with Chris, right? Until we can find someone else. Something has to happen. Now, I know they're bringing back Captain Jack at Christmas, and I know there's other things they've got planned for season 13. Who knows if Noel Clarke is coming back regularly or at all? I don't know. As I say, it could just be a selfie. But it was certainly taken for a reason. Now, last night on Instagram Live, John Barrowman was doing a live video, and he actually said, go over to iPlayer, watch Torchwood and rewatch it, and you never know what could happen. Wink. So that was very exciting. So it does look like Torchwood could be on its way back. Could Russell T Davies be re-entering the Doctor Who universe? I just don't think there's any other thing for it. I know this might not be what Russell wants. I understand that. He walked away. He thought he left it in capable hands. But the truth of the matter is, since he's left, the ratings have been slowly but surely dwindling. The acclaim has been slowly but surely dwindling. It's not how he had it. Unfortunately in life, sometimes you've got that suave, sophisticated person who knows exactly what they're doing. Bring back Julie Gardner. Bring back Phil Collinson. Bring back the Three Musketeers. And let's get this done. Put Stephen Moffat in charge of the Torchwood show. Season 5 or 6 or whatever it is. Let's get the band back together. And let's have great Doctor Who. Because ultimately, Russell T Davies, I know how much you love Doctor Who. And you don't want to see it die. So come back and save Doctor Who. Please comment down below. Let me know how you would feel. Let me know how would you feel about Russell T Davies returning. How would you feel Jodie's Doctor would be like under Russell T Davies? As I say, I think she wouldn't be Dr. Bland anymore, and she'd be a very interesting, exciting Doctor. But let me know what you think. What Russell would actually do with her. And share the video, like the video, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. See you again soon. Bye-bye.